Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's meeting. Tonight's Thursday, January 22nd, and it's the January business meeting for the MSAD75 School Board of Directors. And we will get things rolling right now. We'll start with a roll call.
Art Beatty, absent. Yep. Andy Began,
Present.
Holly Kavanaugh, absent. Jessica Damon,
Is going to be here momentarily.
okay. Tony Kunkel.
Present.
Gregory Greenleaf,
Present.
Hudson Hayward,
Present.
Mary Hobson.
Here.
Haley Kulis, here. Ryan Larson,
Here.
Jim Moulton,
Present.
Kim Pacelli, here. Amy Spelke, here. Frank Wright,
Present.
Will Ajits, and Ashby Hayward. Is he here tonight? Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right, I'll quickly remind anybody that would like to sign up for public comment to do so at the podium. And in the meantime, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Thank you all. Next, we will look at the adjustments to the agenda. There were a couple that we added. I know we rearranged a couple of pieces in the new business section. Did additional retirement. And then at the end, we added a new second executive session for an update. But we will not have any action coming out of that.
Move to accept the adjustments.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you. And now we have public comment, which there was no one signed up, so we're going to keep moving right into our consent agenda. So item 5 would be the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Excellent. Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Frank. And that was unanimous. Next up, we have recognitions and acknowledgements. We'd like to observe a moment of silence in memory of Simon Gonzalez. Thank you. Board announcements and correspondence. We have none specifically to address in this portion here. So we are going to get right into the reports and presentations. So first up is to hear a report from the student representative to the Board of Directors.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So here at the high school, we are wrapping up our midterm week. We only have 2 more left to go. This year, we've returned to a two exams per day schedule. Last year, we had 3 exams per day, but this year we were really focusing on making sure that students had enough time to prepare and to rest throughout the week, because it is very stressful for many students. Throughout this month, student representatives have been having some great dialogue with administration about various issues that they would, or changes they would like to see during the second semester. And they've been very receptive to our suggestions. So during the second semester, we have added a 10-minute passing period in the mornings, and this is going to allow students enough time to get breakfast in the mornings and also make their classes within the allotted time, which has been very warmly received by both students and teachers. We are also opening up the gym during all lunches, which has been a very common request from students, and I'm very excited about that change. And we've also added a digital kiosk sign-in, sign-out portal in the entryway to the high school, which is going to streamline check-ins and check-outs and make it especially easier for seniors with senior privileges. So that's it. Here's to a great second semester.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Will. And next up, we have what will probably be the highlight of the evening, I think, which is to hear a presentation from Rick Diedick, principal at Woodside Elementary School of the Clean Up Club. And Rick, should we move, will some of it be up here?
I got the projector going here. And kids, could you stand maybe right over here so that everybody can see you too? Test. Does this work okay for you? Okay. Well, I'm Rick Diedick, the principal here at Woodside Elementary School. And to my left, I just want to introduce some of my students. This is Judson Schneider in second grade. This is Bella Evans, also in second grade. Olivia Evans in fifth grade, and Harper Schneider in fifth grade. And yes, the Schneider kids and the Judsons kids are brothers and sisters. So, sorry, the Evans kids and the Schneider kids are brother and sisters. I am here tonight actually because our superintendent has been helping us prepare for our budget presentations. And so I'm going to apologize in advance. Some of what I show you tonight is actually going to be pretty familiar to people who are on the district budget committee. And so some of the data and things like that will be slightly repeated. But there's been some just really great developments at the school with our academic achievement scores. And Heidi asked if I'd be willing to share them with the whole board. So I'm normally pretty reluctant about, kind of highlighting one school or anything like that. But I'm going to lean into it because, yeah, I'm pretty proud of the kids' work. And I think Heidi's pretty proud of the school's work. And I have a pretty core belief that if you can do it at one school in the district, then you can do it at all the schools in the district. And I think as we look at kind of some considerations for reorganizing what our intervention and special ed programs look like into the coming year, things may look a little bit different across the district. So I'm here to just kind of highlight what's been going on, what our results look like. I'm going to highlight a little of the data from some of our friends here. And then we're going to talk about what I think is one of the most important parts of a successful school, and that's the relationship between the students, their families, and the school. And what are some of the things that help strengthen those relationships? And so in particular, Harper and Olivia are going to be showcasing the very first student-designed and developed club at Woodside. And I'll share that for the end because I think that's the true highlight of our work. So I'll go through this as quickly as I can, but we'll also save time for questions at the end. What I'd like to just say is that since the pandemic years, we've seen really great gains in our academic achievement as well as a rebound in our attendance data. So just a quick highlight is that as of last week in January, our attendance data stands at 96.1% average daily attendance, which is really good. It's right up there to where we were before the pandemic. And our chronic absenteeism rates are very low at 5.8%. And a school our size, that's probably between 15 and 17 kids who've accumulated more than 8 days of absences over the course of the year. We have over 300 students in the school. So as you've probably seen with data across the state, numbers that low are actually really strong. One of the reasons I think they're so low is because kids want to come to school. And again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Why do kids want to come to Woodside? Some of the insights that I want to share about why our academic data looks so strong are related to things that have been supported by the school district board, that is. And that is the initiation of Math Fact Lab, which we've presented on before, combined with our teachers' confidence levels rising and their growth in math instructional practice in the past few years. I'm really happy to highlight that our scores at Woodside now are a full 25% above the state average on the state exam for math. So I'll share some of that data so you can see it graphically. I think we also demonstrate a focus on and tracking students whose year-over-year growth rates are below the 50th percentile. What that means for you if you don't work in the school is using this program called NWEA. We track students and are they making a year's growth in a year's time. And if their growth score is below the 50th percentile, We pay special attention to those students and put special plans into place so that their core instructional teachers are doing what's necessary to help get them over that 50th percentile. That again helps us ensure that the time that they're in school, they're making at least 1 year's growth in a year's time. It used to be quite difficult for us to get over that 50th percentile hump as an average in our school, and I'm proud to say for the last 2 years now, it's been really strong, excitingly so. So we wanted to highlight that. And then additionally, since the fall of 2024, we've been implementing some mandatory intervention blocks. What that looks like for our school is every day, 4 days a week anyway, there's a 30-minute block where all of our intervention teachers flood into one particular grade level, and students who require extra supports or intervention get our undivided attention for that time. At that same time, the classroom teacher is also working with their students for intervention, and kind of my mantra for them is no new instruction during that 30-minute block. It's really about what are you working on independently, what do your independent goals look like, and how can we move that forward? But we're not teaching new information so that kids who are receiving intervention aren't missing out on something that would be part of the core. So those I feel like are some of our core strategies that are really helping our growth. And the next few slides are just going to be sort of data-oriented slides. So as I promised, I wanted to show you our math data up on the top slide. Our most recent state results were up there. I got to be able to read it myself with my glasses at 76.8% of our students meeting the state standard. You can see in the line below that, 49.4% is the state average. So I don't think anybody's thrilled with the state average below 50th percentile or below the 50th percent mark, but we're pretty happy to see us well above that mark in our school. And you can see that there's been a pretty significant jump from year 2024 to year 2025. I think reflecting a little bit of the growth that our teachers have, the confidence that they have, but also the confidence that the students are having through their mastery of math facts. On the lower right-hand side, you can see our English language arts results are also very strong, very high above the state average, and I'm really happy to see that over the 80th percentile mark. So we're feeling really good about that. And again, those state tests are what every student in grades 3 through 5 across the state of Maine have to take. So not anything that we do special here in our district, it's just the state exam. So really strong results there. And then some highlights, and again, some of this will be repeated for the budget group, but what I wanted to really focus on is in the very top corner of this math fall to spring data from last year, our growth percentile was the 71st percentile as an average. And again, Amanda and I talk about this sort of thing a lot. We really strive as a district to get those scores above 50th percentile, which means your average student is at least making years growth in a year's time. Our average is at that 71st percentile, which is like significantly above what you would expect, way higher than I thought it would be. And you can see the achievement bands just below that show that achievement in math in the fall of last year was at the 60th percentile on average and jumped all the way up to the 71st percentile by the springtime. So all of the achievement was moving in the correct direction last year. And then below that, you can see the reading scores are also very strong. The growth measure was at the 68th percentile. Again, very, very strong, way above the 50th percentile. So more than a year's growth in a year's time is the average student's experience. And then our achievement went from the 67th all the way up to the 74th percentile. So really good, strong results last year. And I highlighted those. I should have done that in my first go around. I think I might have done some of that here too. Yeah, this is this fall's data. So I just wanted to highlight, that's our incoming kindergarten groups, kind of our first, interactions with the assessment happens in kindergarten in the fall. So not surprising, they had a little bit lower score than the rest of the school, and that's math up on the top. Down on the bottom is reading scores, 45th percentile. But just below that, you can see our grade 1 score. I think this might have been the thing that made Heidi want me to come and talk to you, because she said, I don't think I've ever seen blue before. And it's kind of true. We haven't really seen that before either, where the average achievement mark in reading is at the 87th percentile for those grade 1 students. That means the kindergarten teachers in the year before did an excellent job. And what I was excited to find out is, well, what will this year's data look like? So I'm going to highlight into that a little bit. Oh yeah, there's more fun that I had with that. Yeah, so this is, it's marked incorrectly on the side. So disregard where it says math fall to spring. I forgot to change that in the slide, but this is this winter's marking period. So we don't have any grade 1 students here tonight, but you saw their data before was in the blue. And what you can see again is their growth starting at such a high level is continuing on at the 71st percent mark. And while they went from the 87th percent to the 86th percent, I can't complain because the average student's experience is way above average in that top tier of achievement. Really, we haven't seen anything like that before. And then just below that, I wanted to highlight some of the math scores again. And the thing I'm so impressed with, which is, it's very nerdy, so bear with me for a minute. If you look at those green boxes, it's highlighting what the winter achievement scores were for grade 1 in math and then below it for grade 2 in math. And the thing that really caught my eye was if you look, most of the bands have first red, then orange, then yellow, then green, then blue. And if you look at that one band where it shows the achievement, you see a red band, but there's no orange. It just goes straight to yellow. And what that means for us is that 97% of our first graders right now are above the cutoff for intervention. So we put kids into intervention if their achievement score, or we consider them for intervention, if their achievement score is below the 41st percentile. But if you tally up all those, the yellow, the green, and the blue, it means that 97% of our students are above that mark. We've never seen data like that before. So I'm so impressed with those students in math in first grade. And then here's some of our math students in second grade, Bella and Judson. And their numbers are pretty darn impressive too, because the total percentile at that mark where we'd look at intervention is only 5%. So 95% of the students in second grade are above the range where we wouldn't even be looking at them for considering an intervention in math. Again, it's very early data. Amanda actually pointed me to look at it yesterday because I hadn't really looked at it. She said, it's not usual that we really want to look at an individual school, but there's something special going on there. And so I think we do want to pay close attention to it, both in reading and math. And so, yeah, I feel pretty proud of the data, and I think you guys should feel proud of it too, because it's exceptional, and there are students. So how about a little round of applause for these guys? Great job. Yeah. Yeah. Our other grade levels are still taking their winter assessments, so this is really like hot off the presses stuff. We haven't got the other grade levels finished yet. Okay, and so what makes us unique? And I'm just reiterating here. I was asked by Heidi to highlight our academic data, but I kind of want to reflect back on one of our core beliefs at the school, which is a quote from this fellow named Dr. James Comer, and his core assertion is, "No significant learning happens without significant relationships." And one of the things that I believe is that we prioritize deep connections and partnerships between students, family, and staff at the school. And then that leads to these experiential, community-driven learning opportunities. And so you kind of see where this is going, but in addition to that academic data, there's so many good things that happen to connect students to school. And that, I think, brings us back to that idea that the significant learning goes hand in hand with significant relationships. And for me, a couple of those things are donuts with grown-ups, which is the simplest thing ever. But as a parent, if you've ever been to one of them, we just have a bunch of donuts, and the grown-ups come with their kid, and we have donuts and coffee together in September. And it's just a nice thing that we do annually. Our spelling bee happened recently. For those of you who were at the spelling bee, it was the best spelling bee ever. I just am letting you know, like 100% for sure, the Woodside kids are going to win the county bee, and we're going to the states, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to have a top 4 or 5 computer this year because it was an amazing spelling bee. This is about another program we'll talk another time called 95% Phonics. But I was embarrassed at our spelling bee. I wasn't prepared to read some words. And I had to practice the words before I said them out loud in the middle of the round because we got into things like the word puissance. I'd never even seen it before, and the kids had to spell it. And, I was very impressed that they did so well. So Spelling Bee, our cider press project, Mr. Mike's Maple Tap and Boil. For those of you who know, Mr. Mike is our custodian, proving that you don't have to be a teacher to be a teacher. He's an amazing addition to our family. Family Fun Day. This Friday, we're doing a new program called Move, Make, and Munch Night, which I'm looking forward to. It'll be activities in the gym, some maker activities, and then some healthy snacks that parents are volunteering. We also have our annual musical, which is underway right now. We're doing Annie. So some of these kids here are going to be performing in Annie. I should mention that Olivia did an amazing job at our spelling bee this year too. Do you remember the word that got you? Commotion. It has the double M. So that one got her, but she'll never forget it, guaranteed. And then our Spirit Weeks, our kinder concerts with the Portland Symphony Orchestra, which we partner with Williams Cone on, all of our enrichment programs with the PTO, and also like our long-lasting programs like Woodside One-Wheelers, and I'm sure many of you know about. All of them kind of help us create our unique identity. But there's this statement that I always say at our PTO meetings, which is that the best ideas at Woodside have come because parents have partnered with us. And I believe that 100% until this year. So we've got something new to add this year. Harper and Olivia had this idea, and it's the first time that a student has come with an idea that they wanted to start a club at our school. And they just wanted to pitch this idea to me to see, is it possible? What could we do with it? And so while I used to think it was the parents that always had the best ideas, I'm changing that this year to say I think the kids have some pretty good ideas too. So I'm going to turn the microphone on and hand it to these guys because they have prepared just a very brief slide presentation, and I'll explain a little bit about it at the end. But do you guys want to take over and I'll man the slideshow for you? Okay, go ahead and introduce yourselves first.
Hi, I'm Harper Schneider. I'm in Miss Bolduc's class at Woodside.
Hi, I'm Olivia Evans, and I'm also in Miss Bolduc's class at Woodside.
So this year we were thinking that we could possibly create something that helps keep our oceans clean as well as our environment. So this is a basic slide we created for our first meeting, which is next Wednesday after play practice. So SUKU is what we call show up cleanup for short. It's basically just I forget the word.
You can use the slide to remind yourself.
Acronym, thank you. So in our last 5th grade fish tank unit, we learned about plastic pollution in the ocean and how it travels. And we think that Woodside is a great place to help with that by keeping not only our environment clean, but other environments like local waterways, like rivers and ponds. We were thinking if we went to Popham Beach or Reed State Park, we could go around as a community and clean it up over a fun weekend day or something. So we have a few photos here of plastic in the ocean and a clean ocean. I was thinking it'd be a cool thing for the students to say, would you rather go to this ocean or that ocean? I think most of them will choose this ocean personally because it's a lot cleaner and nicer. Then over at the end, we have a photo of just plastic bottles. Fun fact, there's around 62 million pounds of plastic dumped into the ocean every year, I think. and it just gets caught in gyres and spins and spins and spins.
Making a change. We would just like to hopefully be able to make a change for Woodside's playgrounds, trails, and forests. Hopefully, it wouldn't just be Woodside's playgrounds and trails, but also expanding it to local waterways in Maine too, such as Harper listed, some of the rivers, beaches, ponds, trails, like Popham, and different parks in Maine too. Along with also trying to help keep local waterways in Maine clean, to try to help keep animals and their environments free of plastic, because it would really make a difference. To help keep animals from going extinct and getting hurt. To really just try to make a difference.
This final slide is mostly for the if you are interested part. For the students, it says if you are interested in joining Suku, you can keep an eye out for our next meeting on posters, announcements, and emails. Thank you for coming. If you have any questions, come see
Olivia Evans.
or Harper Schneider.
So what you see here is just the Parent Square message that went out to families. Their very first meeting is scheduled for next Wednesday, and we've scheduled it to be right after the musical practice is over. For those of you who are familiar with Woodside, there's a lot of kids who go to the musical practice, and Harper had the idea that if we made it easy for parents by having their first meeting show up at the end of the musical, we could have a lot more participants. So we're really looking forward to that. And one of the things that I've been able to arrange for the kids at our first one is a special guest speaker. So there's a great young student at the Bath High School, Morse High School, named Charlie Ware. Her dad happens to work at the Mount Ararat High School. And she has done a cleanup project herself and has gotten some local attention for it. And so she's offered to come and offer some advice to our students about what to expect when you do a student-run project, what pitfalls to look for, and what she's learned along the way. And she's kind of pledged to be a little guide for our group. And our goal is to bring other guest speakers to our monthly meetings, including superintendents from local parks, as well as people who might be park rangers in some of our state forests. So we wanted to make the kids available to any questions that you might have, but my purpose for bringing them here today is just to say this is part of developing a strong relationship with your school. And part of that, I think, is knowing that if you have a voice and you have an idea, that it can be heard and that you can do something with it. And so that's what we hope to demonstrate through this presentation tonight. But please fire away if you have any questions for the kids, their ideas, or any of the data as well.
I would also like to add something in quickly. We would like to hand a Suku over to our little siblings next year when we head to middle school. And we will continue it in middle school as well, hopefully high school when we get there. So if it goes well. So we can just make it a whole, and maybe it will go on to other elementary schools. So it'll be a district-wide thing, which would be really fun. Any questions? Yes?
Well, this is a question, but your presentation makes me really, really hopeful for the future. You guys are really, really brave to go up there. It takes a lot of guts. And I certainly didn't have that environment for this. I was in elementary school, and you don't just have that, you also have the pride to make a difference. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. We've actually been working on this for quite a few months, probably around September. We started. Yes?
Your presentation, the content the club, bravo, wonderful. But your presentation is strong too. At your school, do you have opportunities to speak to groups, whether it's to your class or to others? How do you get practice talking in front of a group?
Well, I've actually done Reader's Theater for quite a few years as well, along with plays, but also our teacher, Miss Bolduck, who's right there. She allowed us to share, and today we actually, well, I'm going to be totally honest here. I kind of forgot that was my share day today. So Olivia had this idea and said to me, what if we shared Suku with the whole class? And that went incredibly well. We were only allowed to do 3 questions, but a lot of kids came up to us after that, asking us multiple questions like, when is it okay if I don't come to the first meeting but come to the next meeting? Lots of questions like that, which is pretty awesome, and I was able to answer most of them.
Thank you. And Olivia, do you do readers theater? How have you practiced speaking to groups?
Well, really, I haven't done any readers' theaters, but I have done plays before and designed costumes and talked about my ideas to some of the other parent volunteers that sew and find different costumes from like thrift stores and Goodwill. So I also have practiced sharing my ideas in front of the costume group at Woodside, which also was kind of helpful for this. And I too also have done plays. Another quick thing I kind of wanted to share was actually this bracelet. It's made from the cord is made from recycled plastic from the ocean, and the beads are made from recycled glass, all from the ocean, and each bracelet is equaled to 1 pound of plastic recycled from the ocean, which is kind of cool.
Do kids have to be in the club to help with the cleanups?
Well, I'd say if you help with the cleanups, you're basically part of the club.
But it's also like a community thing. You don't have to be a kid from Woodside. If you hear about it and you're free, you can come do it. Like, let's say you're at Williams Cone and you've heard about it. You can still come. It's also open to parents who would like to help. We're hoping to do that as well. So it's more of like a yes and no answer.
Yeah, along that line, maybe your second Suku cleanup day, Rick, you could share it, district-wide and see who wants to come and join the club and help clean some environmental plastic up.
Yeah, as Harper said, we're actually planning our first event, so we're taking our time. Harper is a move fast kind of kid, and Mr. Dudek is a go slow to go far type of principal. So we've been working together to stay organized and thoughtful about how we want to get this launched, and I'm feeling pretty good that our next step will just be to get our core of students and parents. And then from that core, we'll decide on our first cleanup location and then pick a nice day in the springtime where, it doesn't have to be 5 degrees below zero to go out to the beach. So we're going to be cautious about that too.
All right,
right,
thank
well-
you all very much. I just want to say it was a great 1-2 punch. That both pieces of this presentation were awesome to see how well you guys are all doing in the classroom, and then what you're doing outside of the classroom is just amazing. So I think for us as a board, it's great to see and helps put a little fuel in our tank to see, like this is what we're all doing this for, and to see what you guys are doing is amazing. So thank you for coming and sharing with us tonight.
Yes.
Not too far. A little.
A little far away.
So you are all welcome to stay, but if you want to head out, have a great evening. And if you need one more piece of candy for the road, please feel free to come grab one. Good job, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I'm taking that.
Just get one for yourself, Jen.
Yeah, good job. Have a good night, guys. Thank you. All right, so next up on the agenda, we have an added item that is to hear a report on The Outsiders by Dr. Hersey.
Thank you. This is a kind of a courtesy to the board. Okay. Oh, I think it's just me. So early this year, when we came forward with the pilots, I had brought all of the books just to update the board on what our students would be reading. But the packet was really dense, and I'm not sure it was super helpful for you. So I have been intermittently, with the trimesters and semesters, bringing a smaller packet of materials that the students would be reading. So last month, maybe, I had brought forward semester 2 books for the middle school. And at that time, our 6th grade teachers had to kind of make some decisions because there are 5 units in the fish tank program for each grade level at the middle school. And we likely, just during the pilot with our pacing and learning it, we likely won't get all 5 units. So they needed to make a choice about that 4th unit, and which will actually be the 3rd unit that they teach in sequence. And they had originally thought that they were going to read the book An Unlikely Ballerina. And after reading that and studying that in depth, they have requested to make a change and instead read The Outsiders with the students. I think everybody's really familiar with that book. Probably all of us have read that book, but I did just want to update you that we'd be making that shift. And then the exhibit just goes through the content of The Outsiders and some of the things that you might want to be aware of. Our principal, Megan Hayes-Teague, has provided or has prepared a parent letter that will go home as soon as you give a thumbs up.
Yeah, that's going to be my question. I don't know that we need to necessarily take action. Is this just more of an awareness and the opportunity to ask any questions? Yeah. So with that, I'll turn it over to anybody who would Mary, if you have a question.
Okay. What year did we normally have The Outsiders read?
This is, so as long as I've been here, because of the way the Lucy Calkins units of study were set up, there really was never a class set of books that were read together. It was more of a choice read. The teacher may have read from the book, but the students had never or have not been reading a class set of books. So I'm not sure that it was in the sequence of books read as a class.
I've read it as I was there
a long time. Yeah. Okay.
But I'm not like, I know it wasn't 6th grade though. But anyway, but I do know that people, there's some content in there that's, but anyway, I wondered about the age of it. the recommendation for the age of it, but, yeah, okay, I just wondered about that. I mean, things that happen in over time, kids change, so obviously if the teachers have determined that it's an appropriate book for that age group, then that seems fine.
We also have been consulting the Common Sense Media site, which does it does highlight some of the content in there, all of the kind of material that the students will see, and it does give an age level, and the particular age level that Common Sense Media suggests is the 6th grade. Mhm.
Yeah, Jim.
Amanda, just seeing this conversation and you bring this forward caused me to go back in, which we've done in the curriculum committee, of course, looked at the fish tank, but the richness of the materials there, the ability to see not only, it's not just a list of books.
No.
It goes far deeper, support in many ways for conversations, but also the awareness that you're speaking of there are topics, and this is something you may want to be aware of going into and ways to do that at an appropriate level, Mary, as you suggest, developmentally, et cetera. So just encouraging any who might not have spent a little bit of time inside the fish tank web resources. Really appreciate it.
The great thing about Fish Tank for all of us is that the materials and the lessons are completely an open source. So anybody could just go in there and see those lessons. It is, what we have found is that when we read the book, we all have some feedback for ourselves and we want to discuss that book. But when we lay it side by side of the lessons, it just makes so much sense with the way the program has laid out those lessons and sequenced them. So I would encourage anybody who wants a little bit more information about what that's going to look like in the classroom to go right to the Fish Tank website and see the lessons and the target tasks that are going to be brought into the classroom every day.
All right. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Am I staying up here for calendar? Or will I be back? Is
I
it
think we'll be
calendar?
back. And next we
I'll
have
be
the
back.
board chairs, or no, excuse me, superintendent's report.
Got it.
So I'm not sure.
So tonight I have a couple of recognitions that I want to talk to you about. We had a couple of situations over the last few weeks. One was a terrible accident that happened down in Harpswell where one of our buses with middle school and high school students were stuck and very close to the scene. And what I want to do is acknowledge Belinda Rosignol as one of our bus drivers, who is one of our bus drivers publicly. I received several emails from parents about the amazing stability that she provided to the students that were on the bus that day. She ensured that the kids were able to express their feelings. They were exposed to some things, and so I think it's really important that she stepped into that role, which she did naturally, and made those kids feel comfortable and safe until we were able to get the children off the bus and down around the other side and to their parents across the way. So Belinda is an amazing bus driver, has been in our district for a really long time and really deserves that recognition. And I wanted to thank her for that. And thank you to the parents that reached out because I 100% agree with you. Then also we had a situation where there was a medical emergency that was on Forside Road in Topsom, and it was on a bus with a van with a driver and an aide, and Jim Russell and Alyssa Luongo, I think is how you say her name. I'm hoping that's right. I received a text message from Ian Alexander, who works for the Saginaw Sheriff's Department, and he wanted to express how thankful he was that how wonderful the driver and the aide responded. They pulled off to the side of the road at the fields. It was a perfect location for the driver to do such, and kept everyone safe, not only that the student that was on the bus, but also the cars passing by. He says, and I'm sure he'll be okay with me sharing this, that he boarded the bus as a licensed EMS provider and found that teachers of the bus aide comforting the child and all of the medical needs that were going on and passed along the vital information that was needed to be passed along. So I just wanted to recognize Jim Russell and Alyssa Longo and Belinda again. We are thankful for them and wonderful to have people that are so responsive, and they are the heroes hidden among us that are doing excellent jobs and don't always get that recognition.
Great, thank you, Heidi. Next is the board chair's report. I just have a couple of things. I think I walked this around and shared with everybody quickly, but I want to do it for anybody that may be watching or something. We came in and found a nice, lovely card here from the staff at Mount Ararat. It is, I was not aware of this, Happy School Board Appreciation Month. And so we are delighted to celebrate that and really appreciate the recognition from them and the thankfulness. And so I'd encourage everybody, if you haven't had a chance to look at this, please do, because there were thoughtful sentiments in here. And it was very nice to see. So, and candy. So help yourself to that as well. But that was just, they're really great. So if anybody is watching, thank you so much for that. The second thing I wanted to touch on is at our last meeting, I kind of talked through the approach that we are going to be working with through the rest of this fiscal year on meeting schedule and some adjustments and trying to reduce some of our full business meetings, trying to focus the business meetings to once a month, and then using what was our previously scheduled other meeting as the workshop time, or to try to just be as efficient as we can with all the work. And what I have done is Heidi has updated the calendar. Most of these things, most of the dates didn't change. A couple did. And one of the examples is a workshop for facilities that we'll have in February. But generally speaking, what we tried to do is eliminate some times because we are working so efficiently. So I'll hand these around here, but these have the updated dates for the rest of the year for board meetings and workshops. And then it has we had our legislative workshop, which was on here, but then we'll have a master plan workshop in February. And then we're looking to have on March 12th a workshop on policy IJJ. It's something we've gotten feedback on that we need to kind of work on that and clean it up. So we're going to have a little workshop and make sure we do that appropriately. That will leave us with 3 more workshops to schedule. We'll have some end of year business and different things to take care of, and then maybe 1 or 2 development opportunities we can try to add to that. So I will pass these around here shortly.
Are those dates also reflected in the online calendar?
Yeah, they should be. We were working to update that, and we'll validate one more time, but yes.
They
And
either
it wasn't,
will be.
yeah. And again, there weren't too many moving pieces. It wasn't perfect, but mostly what we tried to do is utilize dates we were already holding to just have a little bit more focused time. So, and that is what I had for my update. Oh, yes, we did. Yeah. Thank you very much, Hudson. We had a couple of pieces in our consent agenda. Thank you. But I just wanted to acknowledge that one of those pieces was the resignation of Holly Kavna. She was on the board for a couple of years working with us. She brought a great perspective and voice and very diligent work to the board. We really appreciated having her join us, but she has made the decision that just due to the challenges that this participating in this presents to us, that she's in a spot where she needs to have a little bit of that time back to focus on some other things. So she resigned from the board, but we are very grateful for everything that she did contribute over the couple of years that she was working with us. So thank you, Holly, for that. And we'll be hearing from the town of Topsom at some point about how that representation slot evolves. Thank you again, Hudson. All right, and with that, we will start to move through committee reports. First, we have finance.
Hello and good evening. So we've had 2 finance committee meetings since our last board meeting. On the 5th of January, we sort of kicked off official budget season with the capital maintenance plan. The facilities committee was able to join us, and we saw Sean Johansson's presentation. It was great. I have sort of described this year's finance committee work as sort of, or budget process as sort of laying the groundwork for what the master plan will bring. So we're not really directly engaging with a lot of the proposed or possible long-term projects that the master plan is going to encompass, but we're trying to get ready for that. And so Sean, without me talking to Sean separately, Sean's approach was pretty much perfectly aligned with that. So he talked about the continued capital maintenance fund, his desire to continue increasing it incrementally over the years, and laid out projects that were important and ripe, time to move forward, that did not necessarily conflict or otherwise sort of suggest commitment to any one given major option coming out of the master plan. So that was really good. And then just on Tuesday of this week, we had our maintenance of effort presentation, which was excellent. Evan came and gave us a very good report on the state of the MOE, which currently is around 6.8%. We've reduced it to 6.48%, which is great. So that's obviously a larger number than I think anyone would ideally want it to be. But looking at some of our surrounding area districts, we're very in line, if not in better shape than many of our surrounding districts. So it's one of those things where the MOE is not the final budget and by a long shot. And I think that while I think that actually that number shows the sort of strength of the budgeting that this district has done over the last 2 or 3 cycles. So I feel, we all districts in Maine have a lot of challenges right now. I think we are in as good a shape as I could hope for us to be to face those challenges. So it was really good. And I will just sort of say, hey, next Tuesday is the school presentations where Rick and other principals will come back, as well as special education and athletics. This is one of maybe my favorite budget presentation meeting in the whole process. And so I would encourage anyone who is able to come that night on the board to come, because it really is a great opportunity to see, just like what Rick showed us tonight from Woodside, what all the schools are doing, where they are identifying, areas that they want to focus on, where they're defining areas that they've made success at. But it's a really great place to sort of see it all at once and be able to ask some good questions. So anyone who's able to come, I would strongly encourage you to try to make it. It's wonderful and exciting. And that's finance.
What's the date of that again?
It's next Tuesday, 27th. I know days of the week right now. Correct, right here. And the U will be reversed so we can see that screen. Oh, and actually, I'll add that Evan and I have launched the digital version of the finance binder. So instead of everyone getting big white binders, by default, if you go to Google Drive, signed in with your school board account, you'll see under Shared Drives a Finance Committee drive, and then there's a fiscal year 27 folder, and within that you'll see the digital budget binder, and that's where presentations and line item reports will be added as the budget season progresses. And at our meeting this past Tuesday, we talked about Evan and Nick coordinating on posting a public link to that, read-only obviously, to the budget website so that the public can see those presentations there without having to add them as a second place and whatnot. So that information is already available to board. If it's not on the website, I haven't checked. It will be soon. And it'll be a great place for us to see that data and get updates without having to shuffle a ton of paper around. But if you want paper, let Heidi and Evan know, and they'll be happy to provide you with a binder.
Thank you.
Yeah, he started using it already.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Hudson. Next, we have CIA.
Thanks, Ryan. In the January 8th meeting, a couple of topics. There was, both of which we'll be voting on further down in the agenda, but a request to make use of the IXL material from Bodenham in support across all levels of achievement, just to be able to provide that next step. So to provide a more consistent pathway of progress for all learners, which the committee said, go for it, makes sense to us, please do. The second, and there is, if you go down to, 13.5, there was a request from MAMS to take advantage of a National Civics Bee supported by the National Chamber of Commerce. Really a project-based learning, almost a challenge-based learning to not only be able to write an essay on a topic, but then to do something about it, to put words into action. Again, fully supported with materials. Both have no impacts beyond funds already in place. The committee will, when the time comes, we are in favor of them moving forward. Thanks. Any questions? Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Facilities.
Thanks, Ryan. We've been a little busy, not unlike some of the other committees, but we haven't convened as a group to focus on some of our capital planning because we've been so busy with the facilities master plan. But Sean's doing a phenomenal job keeping those things on track. As you know from the last finance committee meeting, he's focusing on the things that will certainly make a difference for our schools, but not, if we're considering school upgrades, replacements, things like that, it's not going to be a significant impact to be a waste of money. So really appreciate Sean's effort there. We had a facilities meeting on January 14th, and we were talking so much, we were making felt like we were getting to some decision points. And so, Ryan came up with the suggestion that, hey, what about a workshop? Use a time to meet with the full board to do a workshop because the data is showing that, our community wants to maintain a school in every community, an elementary school in every community. So this now Harriman is starting to put numbers together, showing the data and what that means, what it means for our schools. Do we replace them? Do we consolidate them? And what are the cost implications? So it's really interesting to see. I think it's important for the full board to see the work that's been done at that level as well. They'll be able to take you through the path and how we got there. And then kind of step you through the process of how we're trying to narrow down all the options that are going to come out of this master plan. So one of the interesting facts that we went through is the capacity projections. We have a declining student population over 3 years. We'll be losing about 125 students, and over 10 years, about 148 students. So it's be interesting to have them show you that in their report. They can also show where those reductions are happening. I did not write those on the top of my brain. I don't have them with me, but and I don't want to poke at any schools right now. But it, some of when you start seeing the costs associated with the decision making, some things stare you in the face, and I think it's really important for this group to see that and feel free to, have that dialogue during a workshop so we can actually talk about some of those hard decisions. So, but anyway, that was the bulk of our last conversation. We didn't want to narrow down the scope of the remaining effort of this facilities master plan, the outcomes, without, the support of the board to be kind of there with it. So.
Any questions at all there? Yeah, Gregory.
Andy, can you just, for the public, the timeline again, this isn't going to happen like next year, 2 years out, like how far away is after the decisions are made?
You mean like when the next school gets built, or if we consolidate something, or what? I mean, these decisions are years out. We first, so without drawing particular attention to any one site, a typical path would be, design efforts would take, a 1 to 2 year time frame. There's permitting and approval and, community acceptance. my brain goes to, we're talking more 5 years out. Should we do it right now? Yeah, absolutely. Some of the decisions we should, fire up and get moving, but it will take a while to start the planning effort and to start shaping, the conceptual ideas to actual design and implementation for construction. So yeah, and then there's a whole process that Heidi already put together in front of us for, when do you bring that, necessary bond before the community and vote on that. And, so, yes, there is many years. It's not happening tomorrow. It's not happening in 2 years. Sorry about that. So, yes.
I just want to remind folks that on our webpage, on our facilities, on our www.link75.org, under facilities, is that you can also find all of the presentations that Harriman did, but as also the timeline and sort of what we have to do in order to be able to get to the end of a project from start to finish. So all that information is there, plus a link. If you still have questions that you want to send to us that we're still collecting on a Google form, so you can submit anything that you need to there. So that is made available to the public.
Just also want to reiterate that, part of this, we've done such a good job maintaining our schools. They're still serviceable. Are there needs? Sure. But when you touch a school, when you get into, higher level, like we know we're cramped in some of our community schools. We need more space. There are very few schools that don't need more storage space or improved ADA or, improved access to certain areas or whatever. So as soon as you touch those buildings, you have to update your buildings to the new codes. And those are really the things that are going to cost some money. So then you start looking at, well, gosh, if you're going to spend that much money in a school, why don't you just build a new one instead of putting all that money into a school that's already very old? So, and those decisions are, more towards like Bodenham School and Harpswell are both, aging elementary schools. Parts of Williams Cone certainly. So those schools have bigger decision-making cost implications. But yeah, it's when you go through the data, and Harriman they've been doing a phenomenal job collecting the community information, trying to synthesize it, talking to the administration, talking to the facilities committee, and trying to put it on paper, in a presentation format. It's interesting to see how that path is starting to develop. So that's, Ryan had a great idea to workshop it, to make sure we're all going in the same direction at the same time.
All right. Yeah. I mean, from my perspective too, we've been out here and we need to get it into here so we can really start to dig into it. And it feels like a lot of that work is happening, or even, the facilities team has done a great job getting there, but it feels like these are such big decisions that everybody needs to sit and hear the same things and get to share their perspective on it. So I'm looking forward to that in February. A policy committee.
Yes. And we actually, I'm realizing, had 2 meetings since our last meeting in December of the full board. And you will see a lot of work coming out of the policy committee later in tonight's agenda. We've had lots of good meetings. I'll actually mostly just sort of, since a lot of our work is coming forward tonight, I'll sort of just say most recently, we had some conversations that are going to culminate in sort of a 2 policy meeting in February, where we're currently planning on, we might have a couple other small ones, but the focus of that meeting will be KF-R. We're going to hear back from the administration on the building use fees and approach. We've finalized our framework on how we want it to look, how we want to sort of divide the various entities, or types of entities rather, that may or may not want to use our facilities, the things we want to charge for. And so the administration's going to give us a bunch of feedback on rates, or the ways to figure out, hey, if we're having a tournament, how do we want to charge for the tournament stuff outside of this, things like that. So that's really good. And hopefully after that February KFR workshop, we're either ready to bring it forward, or we just need to do one final sort of cleanup polish session before we're ready to bring it forward to everybody. But I feel really good about the work the committee has done. I think we've taken the community feedback we got earlier this year and the board feedback and really had a really good and thorough process hand in hand with the administration. So that'll be one of the things we talk about in February. And the other one will be one that we spoke about at the most recent policy committee meeting to tee up, which is graduation requirements. And Dr. Hoffman brought it to us because the current graduation requirements exempt a couple requirements if you are a Region 10 student. And the changes in the high school scheduling make it so that those exemptions are no longer necessary, right? There was, you could avoid a couple prereqs if you were a four-year student, for example. And now, even if you're a four-year student, the way the scheduling works, you can still get all those prereqs taken care of. So he was going to say that no longer applies. Let's remove that. But as we started talking, it sort of became clear with the strategic plan work that developed the portrait of a graduate, with the change to the Eagle Legacy program, with the fact that this policy hasn't been updated in a while, it became clear that we sort of wanted to have a larger conversation about what do we want our graduates to be required to do. So Dr. Hoffman is going to come back, and we're going to have a good conversation about graduation requirements as well. And that may or may not result in completion, at that meeting is also. But the idea would be to pass something eventually that would start applying to next year's freshman class, right? So we would not change requirements for anybody already in high school, but we'd establish a new baseline for freshmen starting next year, instead of essentially have the two policies in tandem up until the point that any current high school student graduates. So don't worry, Will, your stuff's not changing. But I encourage any board members who want to come and participate in those conversations or hear it, please do. It's actually really exciting. It felt energizing to even just begin to have that conversation with Dr. Hoffman. So, and we discussed, I don't know if we landed on finalizing it, maybe even trying to make it a co-meeting with the CIA committee, since curriculum and graduation requirements can go hand in hand. So, we might invite the entire curriculum committee on an official basis, but unofficially, you're absolutely invited anyway. So, yeah.
All right, any questions? Yeah, Frank.
Yeah, I'd just like to kind of pile on to that. It's really important for all of us to get to as many of these committee meetings that we possibly can get to. We work hard. We can go to a lot of meetings, but by the same token, anytime we can just be there to listen, it's really beneficial to whatever group is being there, and that's just a reminder.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, Mary.
Did you say the meeting was for the?
That will be, let me look at my calendar, 1 second. I could have been more prepared. That sounds right out at a glance. Yeah, February 25th. And we've been having them at the district office just because the noise is the winter session of sports has been pretty overwhelming. We've been trying to get pretty nitty gritty. So we've been doing it at the district office, which has been really successful. So yeah, February 25th at the district office is the current schedule, date, time, place. So thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll keep moving here. Next up on the agenda is old business, and we have none tonight. So we are going to move right to new business. Our first item of new business is to consider action to approve a first reading of the 2026-2027 school calendar.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. And I believe Amanda maybe is going to give us a little information.
Yes, I can do that. The calendar process, I think probably everybody here is pretty familiar with that, but I'll reiterate that for anybody here and anybody listening, that the calendar process begins with Brunswick, Freeport, and our district coordinating and collaborating on a calendar that has no more than 5 dissimilar days, so that we're serving our students well who are attending the Region 10 school. So we met, and things are aligning very well with the 2 other districts. We also, in our district, have a calendar committee who looks at that calendar and provides some feedback. We have members of our association, we have a board member, our student rep, And we have principals from every level. So they have also met, gave some feedback, and this is what we have for our first draft. So some of the things that I want to bring your attention to is that we are beginning after Labor Day. And we did talk about
Before, you mean before?
or before, sorry. Thank you, Hudson. Oh my goodness. That would create a lot of stress. So we talked about what would happen if we started after Labor Day, and obviously we would just go way too far into June. Yes. Oh my goodness. Probably people listening were a little concerned about that. Yes, starting before Labor Day. And we have been using that first day to bring kids in gradually. So that would just be our pre-K students and our 1st through 9th grade. It has worked out really well that our kindergarten students come in after everybody else is established, and that our 9th graders have a full day to themselves at the high school. We have graduation on June 13th. We did add a workshop day on Election Day. So as you know, we have voting in all of our schools, except for the middle school and our Topsom schools, except for the high school. And so we did add that as a workshop day. December break, although everybody really enjoyed the 2 weeks off, we couldn't quite fit that in, so that we had a release day that was appropriate in June. The one big change for the calendar that we've never added before was a request to add the cultural and religious holidays that represented an additional holidays that we want to be aware of. And there's an agreement that we probably can't be perfect around all of these days and scheduling events, but we do want to increase our awareness and do our best with that. So we did add those dates on the calendar as well. I do see that, so this calendar is done on an Excel sheet prior to being printed as a PDF, and I do see that I need to stretch some of those cells a little larger because there's some cutoffs there. But besides that, looking for any feedback that you might have, the next process would be that this goes back to our district calendar committee. They see it one more time. That actually is in the teacher contract, so we want to be really mindful of that. And they will see it one more time, take your feedback into consideration, and we would bring it back for a second read. Any questions?
I just want to say that, did you say?
Jessica first, please. Sorry.
Sorry. I'm still looking, so it might be here, but do we put the Eagles Legacy project, the field time on
We
this?
don't put that on there, but I think we could.
I think it would be
Definitely add
really
that.
useful, just
Okay.
because it takes a lot of family planning to
Yes.
be aware of, because it's 2 weeks
Mhm.
of students to be potentially out of the country, or excuse me, out of their home or
Sure.
state or country even.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a thought.
Great feedback. Thank you. I will take that back to the district calendar committee.
Mary.
I just want to say that I like that addition of the cultural and religious holidays on there. So
Great.
that's a nice addition.
Thank you, Mary.
I will also upvote that, but I have a question. And Amanda, I'm sorry if you said this and I missed it. Are Brunswick and Freeport also starting on the Monday before Labor Day? Starting on August 31st?
Yes.
Okay. I just imagine that's a question that may arise in the community. Thank you.
I think we had one dissimilar day only, and it was not during, it was not that start
Isn't it
day.
Election Day? Isn't Brunswick?
It was election day, yes. So Brunswick is not taking election day as a workshop day. So we have only one dissimilar day, which was the first time that's ever happened since I've been doing this. And then Brunswick has an extra day. They have 176 days, but it doesn't count. So right now, the only day that's dissimilar is election day, yes.
And then I was just going to emphasize for clarity for anyone listening, Labor Day is super late this year. It's on September 7th. Exactly. It cannot be any later. So to Amanda's point, starting after Labor Day would be ludicrously late into June.
Right.
So
Right.
just for clarity.
Thank you, Hudson. We did talk about it because it always comes up. It's one of the first discussions we have before or after. And there was just no way that we could take the school year that far into June. Well, our recommendation would be that we not take that into June.
All right, so seeing no more questions, I think we do take I know it's a first read, but we have to take action. So do we take a vote on this? Or sorry, Jim.
Looking at the cultural and religious holidays, I don't see Christmas listed.
Christmas is not listed. No. I can certainly add that.
Would it be appropriate to list that? I think.
Absolutely. We can add that.
Did you check for any solar or lunar events?
I did not do that yet, but I've learned my lesson that I do need to do that. Yeah. I will make sure we do that. Hudson, remind me that we need to bring forward any eclipse that might be happening.
All right, so seeing no more questions, all those in favor of approving this as the first read? Opposed? Seeing none as unanimous. Thank you very much, Amanda.
We'll be back for a second.
And the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait for Jim. Oh, okay.
So next up, we have to consider action to appoint a board member to the hiring committee for Harpswell Community School principal.
You want to explain before we nominate someone?
Yeah, did you want to walk, or do we need to have a motion on this?
Well, we want to pick a person so we can hear the commitment and then we can nominate a person.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so we posted today, as you all know, that, or maybe you've just found out that Anita Hopkins, the principal at Harpswell Community School, is retiring this year. And thank Anita for all of her service. We'll talk about retirees a little bit later in the year. But we have a hiring committee, and Amanda is leading that up. And so in the board agenda, there is a timeline, if I can find it here. I'm losing track of it. Where are you? Thank you. Yeah, oh, there we go. Thank you. So the commitment would be, this week we have posted the announcement, the job description on all of our sites. And then the week of January 26th, Amanda has been reaching out to gather committee members. And so you as a board member, we're hoping somebody would like to serve on that committee. February 13th would be the application process will close, or the application period will close. We're going to release a drive on February 13th through February 23rd, which will have all of the information about the candidates with the scoring matrix, and we'll follow our process here. February 24th, the interview committee will meet first in person and start to review all of the applications, filling out the scoring matrix, select candidates for interviews, and then finalize interview questions for consistency and review interview do's and don'ts, which is always really important. March 3rd is the day that you'll conduct interviews from 12:30 to 6:30. Second round of interviews would be March 10th. Interview with the superintendent the week of March 16th or 20th, and then we hope to bring the candidate to the school board on March 26th. So we are looking for somebody. Oops, Amanda? Okay. Okay. So March 3rd is the first interview. Okay. Wait, it says conduct interviews. Oh, I see where it says.
Select a candidate for the second interview. So I think you're deciding, I think you're narrowing it down.
Yes.
Gregory.
I hope you don't mind, Frank, but I've always considered you a person who knows the pulse of Harpswell Community School in terms of how much you've spent time there and volunteer. And I was hoping that maybe you would consider being on the interview committee.
We can have two. I think we can
I
have.
think we could have two.
I second Gregory's nomination of Frank Wright.
And just real quickly, before we take a vote on that, is there anybody else that is interested if we want multiple members to participate? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of Frank? Opposed? All right, that was unanimous. Thank you, Frank, for stepping up. You will do a great job with that, and we appreciate it. All right, so 13.3, we have to consider action to authorize lease purchase of 4 new school buses in the principal amount of $584,200 to be adopted in the form presented to this meeting.
I move that the vote entitled Vote to Authorize Lease Purchase of 4 New School Buses in the principal amount of $584,200 be adopted in the form presented to this meeting.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions or to confirm, this was part of our current fiscal year budget, so these funds have been appropriated or?
Yes,
As
that is
such.
correct. Evan couldn't be here tonight to talk about it, but this has been approved in our budget.
Are there any yeah, Andy?
Bart's not here tonight, so I'm gonna ask the obvious.
They're yellow.
They're still yellow.
They are. Great question, and Bart will be glad to hear that. Yeah, Jessica.
Yeah, can you just remind me why we're approving it? Is it the amount that triggers it, even though it's already in the budget?
Yeah, it's the lease amount, and so we want to be able to get that out to them because we only have a certain amount of time to get them ordered for the coming.
I also think of it as it's the vote to authorize the lease, not the vote to spend the money, if that differentiation makes sense.
All right, any more questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous. Great, thank you all. And now we will get into a string of policies. I think we're gonna take a look.
Yeah, curriculum first.
Oh, yes, it is.
So Amanda.
Thank you, yes,
I can go.
Amanda, thank you. I stand corrected. But first, we have to consider action to approve the IXL program to be used at Bodenham Community School.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or is there anything more you'd like to add? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That was unanimous. 13.5, we have this to consider action to approve National Civics B materials for Mount Ararat Middle School.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or any additional comments, Jim?
Not on my part.
Yeah, Hudson.
I was just going to say, I can think of a few areas like more vital in 2026 than civics, so I'm really glad to see this on the list.
Any other thoughts? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous. Thank you. You can stick with us till the end, Amanda. We're almost there. To consider action to approve a first reading of proposed revisions to existing policy IMB, teaching about controversial sensitive issues.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Hudson?
I hope you're all ready to listen to me talk today.
Always.
Our existing policy INB is very old and very outdated, and we felt it was a good time to update it and make it more relevant and code it to be in line with the MSBA sample book. So it's essentially a brand new set of verbiage. It is much more proactive and relevant to the teacher's experience in the classroom. It's very in line with what Amanda reports is current practice and very much what the policy committee felt was appropriate modern practice. So we hope everybody agrees.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous.
I moved.
And who seconded that one? Frank? Thank you, Frank. All right, so moving on, we have to consider action to approve a first reading of proposed new policy IMBB, exemption from required instruction.
So moved.
Second.
I'm back. So this is a required policy. This has been on our to-do list for a while, and it made sense to sort of pair this as we were looking at IMB as well. We feel really good about this policy. Again, it's very much based on the MSMA sample, and this has been district practice for many years, the process by which a family may ask for exemption. We didn't have the policy. Very soon we will. That's sort of that.
Thank you. Any thoughts or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous. Thank you. Next up, we have to consider action to approve a first reading of proposed revisions to existing policy JC, assignment of students to elementary schools.
So moved.
Second.
So current JC just talks about Williams Cone School and Woodside School. And in speaking with the superintendent, it was clear that there's been longstanding practice by which students who might go to Williams Cone could go to Woodside or could go to Bowdenham or Harpswell. And that's been happening. I think we probably all know families for which that is the case. But it was never covered in policy. And Heidi asked us to try to help craft the policy, just made clear for parents what the assignment, rubric overall was and what the process by which to request a change in assignment might be. So we took JC. We realized it didn't do the job we needed it to do. We looked at a lot of other districts, because there's no sample for this, found language that we liked and assembled this. This will eventually replace current JC and EEAA, both of which deal with Thompson school assignments. The only thing that I would add, is that the current, I believe it was EEAA, lays out like the boundary lines between Woodside and Williams Cone using both 196 and 201. And speaking with Heidi, it was clear that the current practice essentially just relies on 201. So we simplified that language to make it much more understandable.
All right, any questions?
It doesn't change anything about the status quo.
No, that is exactly correct. It's just stating the status quo very clearly and making it easy for a parent to understand what the process is. Thank you very much for that question, Kim.
All right, all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous. To consider action to approve first reading of proposed new policy BBAB, school board self-evaluation.
So moved.
Second.
So this stems from work we did last year to some degree as a board, and that the policy committee took on much earlier this school year in talking about board self-evaluation. We've done that for 2 years in a row now, and the board felt it was, the direction from the board was to codify that in policy. And so here is the policy that codifies it. One of the reasons we waited is we wanted to wait to get the evaluation tool properly tuned up. This policy was pretty straightforward, and we did, and we'll deal with that one next. So that's that.
Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you. To consider action to approve the board review of proposed new exhibit BBAB-E, school board self-evaluation tool.
So moved.
Second.
So typically we wait for a procedure or an exhibit to get approved at the second read of a policy, but we wanted to bring this forward earlier because this is the tool with which the board will evaluate itself in a couple of months. We wanted to maximize the amount of time that everybody had to sort of get eyes on it and just think about it in the background. I would almost say we had fun building this. We looked at a lot of different policies across the state and even outside of the state to sort of identify what are the areas that we wanted to think about ourselves in and areas where we wanted to acknowledge growth or needed growth and whatnot. So I think we're pretty happy as a committee and where it came together, and it's the kind of thing that could certainly evolve very easily over time and will also translate well to like a Google form. So it'd be easy to recreate this as a Google form for digital evaluation.
Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Just a couple to go here. To consider action to approve the board review of proposed revisions to existing procedure CBI-R, superintendent evaluation process and timeline.
So moved.
Second?
I'm actually going to defer to Kim Pacelli if she wants to introduce this at all.
I have a feeling you may do that. So I have prepared some remarks in my capacity as chair of the Superintendent's Evaluation Committee. So several of us now have, in our roles on SEC, have worked with the superintendent, over the past 2 cycles, right, Heidi? Using the existing CBIR procedure that we had on the books. And what we've put together here, it's differently formatted. It is more or less the same process that we have been running. But we have proposed here some changes that are intended to streamline some things. Kind of overall, the process and the arc of the year felt a little, there were some parts of the process that seemed a little repetitive in terms of some back and forth between executive sessions of the full board and the committee. So we did some streamlining. And so the first aspect of the streamlining is really at the startup of the year. It kind of contemplates a situation in which the superintendent is just going to report to the full board about what their professional goals are for the year. But we still have the flexibility that if we think the SEC should have a private meeting with the superintendent first, we can do that. So I think that will be a really helpful change, that we've got that opportunity to, let's imagine, hypothetically speaking, we were in a situation where we were trying to improve the performance of a superintendent. We would kind of have the opportunity to kind of set that up at the beginning of the year. But when things are going well and we can just kind of jump to the process, we can do that. Middle of the year kind of runs the same way. And then when we get into the spring, this is another place where we look to kind of tighten up a little bit and have some more efficiency. So all of the elements of gathering feedback are going to remain the same. The superintendent doing a self-reflection, doing what we call the 360 exercise with their direct reports, the board offering feedback, all that's going to happen. We're just going to do it with less back and forth. You all may not even be aware of this, but it's like Heidi presents and then we do our feedback and so on and so forth. And so we've kind of collapsed that in such a way that we will do it more efficiently. So it's intended to kind of take less time, but still be as thorough. And part of why we moved things up in the spring is we really want to make sure that we can wrap this by July 1st or thereabouts. We often were finding that we were kind of rushing at the back end of the spring before we started the new fiscal year, and if we had any contractual matters to deal with, we wanted to be able to try to take care of that by the end of June 1st. So if the board were to adopt this, and this has to go to 1 or 2 reads, just 1, okay? We'll start using this immediately. This is kind of the perfect time of year to change this. Unless there's any objection to that this evening, you can let us know as part of this discussion. But we should be able to pivot to the new process, I think, pretty seamlessly for this year.
Any thoughts or questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous, thank you. To consider action to approve the removal of Exhibit KF-E1, request for use of school facilities.
So moved.
Second?
So this KFE1 is the longstanding, or many years standing PDF and paper form that people would use to apply to use a school facility or resource. And it has been supplanted by a digital form. So at our December meeting, Heidi and Hannah came and they presented to us on the form and walked us through the process. And it's pretty incredible. It's one of those things where it ties into the digital reservation system, which ties into the Google Calendar. So you may notice If you look ahead at future board meetings, the room it's in, the formatting of that is a little bit different because it's actually the resource assignment is automatically populated within the calendar event. So it's all happening sort of in a single unified system with much more clarity and predictability. You can look at if you've got an account in the portal, which someone registering to use it will get, you can see the calendar. You can see, is the room available on the day I want? Oh, no, it's not. I'm going to request it for the day after. You get that visibility from the outside as opposed to sending in a piece of paper, waiting some amount of time to be told, hey, it's not available, or whatever. So it's a really great improvement. But as a result of that, we no longer need the old PDF document. It's not being used anymore anyway. So I wanted to officially remove it. And again, we'll get some more updates on the KF, suite a little later this spring. But this one was ready now, and there was no reason to wait. So
Awesome. Any questions? Yeah.
Remind me, because I loved the presentation from Hannah, and I think it's a great improvement too. Maybe I should ask Frank how he feels about the paper version going away entirely.
Well, I'll just not be able to see it.
Well, what I would say is, in all cases like this, since the district is dedicated to accessibility in all ways, anyone could call the district office for assistance in renting if the web form proved overly complicated or unusable to someone.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? All right, that was unanimous. Thank you. All right, I don't know if the policy committee wants to stand up and take a round or a bow. But
Could I make a point of clarification?
Point of order.
This is a philosophical thing. It is not anything other than that, because I believe this reaction of us all looking at one another is the most important work we do here, and I just want to reiterate that. So thank you.
all right, thank you, Frank. And I will still say, if the policy committee would like to stand up for a round of applause, you may, because that was pretty awesome work.
We got more out there. We're waiting on
You
legal
do.
feedback.
The victory lap will come in the second read, but thank you guys for all that work. It's great. We have the calendar and announcements attached, so you can review as needed. And then next up, we have executive session. We do have two executive sessions scheduled for this evening. Neither one of them has action coming out of them. So we will be logging off and shutting down the meeting. For anyone at home, you will not be missing anything. We'll go into one executive session, have our meeting, come out, and then go right back in for the other piece. And again, there was no action taken, so there will be nothing to report out on or take vote on. So,
So with that, pursuant to 1 MRS Section 4056A, I move we enter executive session for the purpose of discussing the evaluation of the superintendent's performance.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, and 8:08, we are in executive session. Thank you.